Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video we're going to learn how to install Kubernetes cluster in CENTOS7. I'm going to use two systems in this video. The first one is going to act as a master node and the other one would going to act as a worker node. In master node I'm going to install all the Kubernetes control plane master components, and the other nodes which is basically going to work as a worker node. If I deploy any application, that would going to run on my worker node. Right, if I go to my virtual setup and I bring my VirtualBox, you can able to see there are few hardware requirement you need to ensure before you go ahead and install your operating system. And that is the memory. You have to specify 2 GB and 2 processor for each system, otherwise your installation will going to fail. And also if I go to the network section, you'd be able to see there are two adapters I'm using. The first adapter I'm using as a bridge networking, that will basically going to help me allow download packages from internet, and the other one I'm using for host only, which will help me allow to communicate between the nodes I'm going to use in the cluster. Okay, so these are the two nodes. If you are planning to use VirtualBox, you probably need to set this up like I did in this video. And you would be also able to use VMware Workstation. I'm not using currently because I don't have a key for it. VirtualBox is free, so that is why I'm using VirtualBox. Okay, and also here you can see there is one notepad where I have specify all the steps, and basically these are the prerequisites which we have to follow before we actually install the Kubernetes components. And I'm going to go through all of them one by one. Let's start. Okay, so first if I looked into my /etc host, you can see my host information is updated. This will help me to resolve my IP to hostname, host to IP locally. That's why I updated this. And swap I need to disable. Let's go ahead and disable swap. Run swap off command to disable it. Let me do the same thing on my worker node. Okay, now why we need to disable swap? Because the container or the pod which is going to run in a Kubernetes cluster is basically going to use for physical memory. It would not going to look for virtual memory when it tries to start up. That is why we need to disable it, disable the swap. Even though if you try enabling swap and try to install the Kubernetes cluster, it will not allow you to install it. It is simply going to fail your installation. That is why this is one mandatory step that you have to follow. I'm allowing a port 6443 and 10250. If you are running firewall D, let me check the status. It is running on both the node. And if you're running the firewall D, you need to ensure these two ports are allowed, because the first one 6443 would going to allow communication for your Kubernetes endpoint, and the other one is basically required for the kubelet to communicate with your master node. Let's go ahead and enable bridge networking. And now I'm going to add the repository for my Kubeadm packages. If I now get this file, you can be able to see the repository has been added. Let's do this on my master node as well. Excellent, so far so good. Let's go to the next step. The next step is most important. This is required to enable it. Your SC Linux status should be permissive mode. Let's do that on my worker node. Okay, so the next step, what I'm going to do, I'm going to use or install some utility that will help me to run some commands with regards to VGS, PVS, and other disk related command. Let's wait to complete the installation. And it is going to complete momentarily. Let's go for the next step, which is the repository for Docker. So I'm going to install Docker, and I'm going to use Docker engine for my container. So that is why I need a repository. So if I get this file, now I have added the repository from where I'm going to download the package and going to install it. Let's run this on master node as well. And the next step which I'm going to do is updating my system, VM update, just to ensure my system is up to date. And once it is done, I'm going to install 3 packages, which is basically container Ds, Docker CE, Docker CE CLI. Let's say yes to go ahead for installation. Let's copy this command and run it in my worker node as well. This would may going to take some time because it's about like 90 MB in size. Even though if you have good network speed, it would going to take some time because it looks for different mirror sites, and wherever these packages are available, from there it will going to download it. Let's pause the video for now, and once this is completed, I'll resume. Okay, so Docker packages are now installed on both the nodes. Let's go to the next step, which is basically creating one file, the name of daemon.json. Let's clear the screen and discuss that. Clearing my screen. Okay, so this is a file where I'm specifying, saying okay, use the overlay 2 type of storage driver instead of the default, which basically provides when you install your system is device mapper, right? So currently I just saying okay, we need to use overlay when we are going to run the container. This will help uh, when it comes to performance. Let's just create one systemd directory, and there I'm starting my Docker service. It's taking a little time to start. Let's check the status now. It's running. Excellent. Okay, so what is next? Let's go to the next step. We are almost done with the prerequisite. I'm now going to install the kubelet package, which is required for my Kubernetes cluster to setup. This you still need to run on all the nodes. If you're using more than 2 nodes, you would need to follow step till 11 on both the nodes or all the nodes which you are using. This will again going to take some time because it is basically downloading from internet and then it is going to install it. Let me pause the video again and going to resume once it is completed. Okay, so the packages are installed: Kubeadm, kubectl, kubelet. And now I'm going to start and enable my kubelet service. Let's run this on this node as well. Okay, so we are done with the prerequisite. All the prerequisite were done, and those steps which I have showed you so far, those we have to follow on both the nodes. Why I'm saying again and again, because if you missed any of the step, you run into issue. Okay, so let's go ahead and run the next command. Before that, let me get my IP details. I have two interface like I showed you in the VM VirtualBox. There I've showed one is using bridge, then another one is using host only. And the host only interface I'm using is static IP. If I go inside this, you can see the IP I have specified. Boot proto is equal to static, and also I also want this interface to come up when my system boots up, right? So for now, since this is going to be act as a master node, I'm going to specify this IP in here. I believe it is already updated. Let's copy this line and run this only on my master node. And this is the network which basically going to use by the pod. The IP range is going to use by your pod in the Kubernetes cluster. You can specify. I'm just using 10.244 series. Okay, so let's run this command, and we'll have to wait again because you can see Kubeadm config ms pull. This command is basically pulling a bunch of images. If I SSH to the master node, let's do that. Okay, it is. And if I run docker images, don't have anything. Let's put a watch on it because it's still trying to download. It seems it's not yet downloaded any image. Going to take some time. We'll have to wait anyway. Okay, let's pause the video for now because this would going to take probably like 5 minutes. You can see there is one image already pulled, which is Cube API. There would be a few more, and that would going to take some time. Let's pause this video for now, and once it is completed, I'll resume back. Okay, so the installation setup is done. You can see there are like bunch of images it had pulled. Let me just do a control C from here and go back to the node. And here, if I scroll it up a little, you can see where I started the initialization of my Kubernetes configuration, and it did few of the steps like creating certificate. It also deployed few of the pods. It also configured it also created some configuration file which required by the Kubernetes. It also created some of the roles, the cluster roles, which is also required, right? And down below, if I scroll it down to the bottom, you would be able to see there are three commands it is giving. It says if you are using if you are a regular user, it is not required. It seems you need to run the following as a regular user. I'm already root, so let's run this command. And then the next step would what we have to follow is to configure pod networking. Okay, so the pod networking is very much important. Without that, your pod would not be able to communicate with the other node where the another pod is running. So that is why we have to enable the pod networking. It is also given a link in the Kubernetes side, and there are like multiple options we can use either one of them. So if I open this link and scroll it down a little, here in the section installing and pod network add-ins, down below you see like Calico and other option, cube router, VNet, right? So I'm going to use this basically. And if you also see in the my notepad, it is the same thing. Let me just copy it from here, clear my screen and run this command. It basically going to create some cluster role and also going to deploy one pod, Weber pod. Okay, so the next thing what you would like to do is to run kubectl get node command to see the status of your cluster. Currently it is not ready status, it's not ready state, because if I run pod minus minus all namespaces, I'm trying to tab it to finish the command, but it is not happening. And why it is not happening? Because we don't have that package installed. I'm going to show you that one as well. Just hang on with me for a second. Okay, you can see this is still trying to create. This pod is still trying to create. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to install this package bash completion, because that will allow me to run my Kubernetes command when I'm going to use tab. All the times I don't need to run full commands. Instead, I'm just going to use tab and it should complete my command. For example, now if I run, just press tab, it should complete. Oh, it is not completing. Let's run bash. Okay, so now if I run kubectl get pod minus minus all name and just tab, let's see, still not happening. Let me log out and re-log in, and kubectl get pod minus minus all name tab. Oh wow, it's not happening because I missed one step, because this is still needs to be applied, the variable we need to specify in the bash.rc file. Cool. So now if I do bash and now try to run the command kubectl get node and all tab, and it is completing. Excellent. So that is the problem, we had it. And if you install and specify this variable in the bash.rc, you would be able to use tab. Okay, so let's do pod instead of node, and all my pods are running. All these are the node, these are the two pods which is basically not running under kube system. And if I check the logs for it, let me set a contain kubectl config set contain minus minus namespaces equal to cube system current. So this command is basically going inside that particular project or namespaces, config get contain. If I run this command, you can see currently I'm on this project. So let's do oc get pod now, all namespaces. I'm sorry, I'm using OC because I mostly work on OpenShift. Kubectl get pod minus minus all namespaces. And now if I run this command, you see still it has the issue. And if I describe the pod where we have actually issue, describe pod and copy this pod, it failed, already present, readiness probe is failed. And also if I do a logs on it, there is some issue that endpoint is not able to connect. Okay, this kind of issue I have seen already. It basically cause issue because of the IP tables. Let me clear that one and run this command again, and now it looks good. Let me rerun it. and if I run the pod command to see the status, excellent. So now it is running fine. It is all up and running. Cool. So if I run kubectl get node now, my node is now ready state. Okay, and you can also get a wide information which will give you more information about which kernel version, your container runtime, which is I'm using Docker now. You can use Cryo instead of Docker, and some other information. Okay, so now the next step, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add this worker node into the cluster. So currently I have only one node, the other one I need to add it. For that, what I have to do, I need to run Kubeadm join command, and there are some few things. Let me scroll it up, and here when my installation is completed, you can see this is the command it had given, saying okay, if you wanted to join any node in this cluster, you can run this. So let's run this command, and momentarily you would see uh, with this cluster there would be one more node. Okay, so you can see there is one more node, but it is not ready yet, because if I check the pod state, you can see it is trying to create some pod. That is why it is not ready, and also why it is taking a little time. If I do wide here, you can see this pod is now trying to create on my worker node, and also this pod is now trying to create on worker node, and the worker node, this viewer and proxy images are not there. It is still trying to download it from internet and trying to create it. That is why it is taking a little time. Let's wait anyway, and meanwhile I'm going to tell you one more command that we just ran it on the worker node. This command, if you, for example, you forget this command, right, and you did not make a note of it, so from where you will get this command? There is one command through which you can find out. Let me clear the screen and run this command. If you run this token create print job command, you'd be able to see similar thing, the same token output, and with that you'd be able to add your node. Excellent. So now let's go ahead and check the pod state where it is, and you can see all of the pods are running up and running, and my cluster is healthy. Cool. So okay, one more thing we can do quickly here. You can see the role is currently not set for my worker node. So let's set that up. kubectl get node minus minus so label, and there is a label set for my master node but not for the worker node. Let's set that up. kubectl label node, and the node name is k8s node 01, and my level is going to be worker. It has added. Now if I run the command kubectl get node, you can see this node is going to be work as a worker node. Excellent. So we are going to discuss about the labeling on my further videos that we are going to prepare. In this video I was supposed to show you how to install Kubernetes cluster in CENTOS server with Kubeadm. Thank you so much for watching my video. Have a good day.